about a minute. We're just waiting for people to tune in. If you want to go get a cup of coffee or tea or some water in the meanwhile, we're going to be talking for about 25 minutes. So let's just wait for the next minute. To go get a cup of coffee. Okay, so I hope everybody's doing well. It's such a beautiful weather outside. It was kind of foggy this morning, but it seems like we have a clear sky. It's really nice. Thank you for joining us. Today we're going to be talking about how to make safe and healthy plants during this holiday season. My name is Genesis Valdes, and I'm a registered dietitian and nutritionist here at People's Community Clinic. We will have an opportunity to ask questions, so write your questions in the chat. We will be answering questions the last 10 minutes of the talk. The COVID pandemic has presented with many difficulties in our community, but it's also amazing to see how people have adapted quickly and how resilient they are. We've learned many different ways to stay in touch. Also, parents have helped their children navigate virtual learning. Teachers have reinvented their lesson plans and are still doing their best to make a difference in your children's life. Here at People's, we have transitioned from our regular medical visits in person to telehealth and also video conference. And that has allowed us to continue to provide the best medical services to our patients. Now, the holiday season is upon us, and I'm quite excited. Let's keep in mind, though, that we're still in the middle of the pandemic, of the COVID-19 pandemic. So we want to be mindful of our plans, and we want to make sure we are taking the proper precautions to avoid transmission of COVID-19. Unfortunately, the number of cases and hospitalizations are going up, and they're going up, and small family gatherings can contribute to this. So let's not think that this does not happen to us. It can definitely happen to us. So we want to do everything we're able to prevent this from happening to us and our family. And as a community, also prevent our healthcare system from being saturated. So we want to be as responsible as we can to prevent the transmission of COVID-19. During this Lunch and Learn, I will be covering 3 topics. So the first one is, how can we prevent the transmission, or how can we limit the transmission of COVID-19 during this holiday season? We're also going to talk about food safety, because a lot of us are going to be cooking turkey or other celebratory foods. So we want to make sure we're doing it in a safe way where we keep our family healthy, and also healthy eating behaviors. And I'm a registered dietitian, so that last topic is my favorite one. So stay tuned to the end. So how can we prevent the transmission of COVID-19? Let's go back to the basics. For the last 8 to 9 months, doctors and nurses and scientists have been telling us to wash our hands for 20 seconds with warm water and soap. If we are not able to wash our hands, maybe we can use some antiseptic or antibacterial hand sanitizer with at least 60% alcohol. Wear a mask. Masks are very important because not only do they prevent us from getting COVID-19, it can prevent other people from getting COVID-19. So make sure your mask covers the top of your nose and underneath your chin. It covers your chin. So it has to have at least 2 layers. So make sure you're always wearing your mask when wear your mask when you're with somebody who is not part of your family. Stay 6 feet away from people. What is 6 feet? So if you extend your arms, it's from tip to tip. You want to have a good distance from the other person. This can help us prevent COVID-19. Now, it's also flu season. So if you haven't taken your flu vaccine, it's the time to start getting our flu vaccines. Go to your primary care physician or to your favorite pharmacy and get this flu vaccine as soon as possible. Now, I'm going to be talking about ways we can prevent COVID-19, but also activities that are low risk, moderate risk, and high risk. We want to do the activities in the low risk category. And what is a low risk activity to celebrate the Thanksgiving holidays? Well, during these holidays, maybe we can celebrate with the family we live with or our own household. This is going to be the best way to prevent COVID-19, to celebrate with the people we live with. Think about alternatives to holiday gatherings. Maybe we can share a meal via video call with family who is far away. We can maybe have dinner or lunch at the same time and use Zoom or other video conference or video call platforms so we can share a meal while we keep our distance. Also, we can write a reason why we're grateful to share with our family and friends. We can either write them down and send a postcard, or we can call them and let them know why we're so grateful and how much we love them and how much we miss them. These activities are low risk. Now I'm going to talk about the moderate risk activities. So if you decide to host a small holiday gathering, make sure you have the proper space. If you're able to do it outdoors, that will be better because there's better ventilation outdoors than there is indoors. Now, if you don't have space outdoors, yes, if you will be doing it indoors, open a window. This can help improve the ventilation. Also, talk to your guests and let them know the expectations to keep each other safe. What are the expectations? I think we mentioned before. Wear a mask, wash your hands, keep your distance. Don't forget to clean and disinfect frequently touch surfaces. So it's very important to clean and disinfect frequently. Now, if you're the guest, be sure to call your host and ask them what they're going to be doing or what things are in place to keep each other safe. Consider bringing your own utensils or using disposable plates and forks and other things we use to eat. Wear a mask at all times and safely store it while you're eating and drinking. So you want to make sure that even if you go to somebody else's house, you're wearing your mask and just have a place to put it away while you're eating and drinking. Whenever you finish, put your mask back on. Avoid going in and out of areas where food is being prepared. So we want to avoid being near where the food preparation is happening. Now, when we see somebody we love and we've missed or we haven't seen in a long time, our first instinct is to hug them or to stretch their hand or to get close to them. But this is going to increase the risk of transmission or getting COVID-19. Let's think of what words we can say to this person that can express how much we love them and how good it is to see them. So we want to avoid getting close to somebody who does not live with us. So to summarize this first part, we want to wash our hands, we want to use a mask, we want to celebrate the holiday season or the Thanksgiving in our house with people we live with. And also, don't forget to get the flu shot if you haven't done so. Now, we're going to be cooking turkey, and a lot of us are not going to be seeing our families. So it might be our first time that we start cooking or we cook a turkey, and a turkey takes a long time to defrost. So I'm going to go to the second topic. How can we thaw a turkey safely? If we just leave it on top of the countertops and let it defrost, we can have harmful bacteria growing. So we want to avoid doing that. There's 3 ways to doing this. You can put it in the refrigerator. Now remember, it takes 4 hours. Sorry, it takes 24 hours for every 4 pounds. That means if you are going to have a 24-pound turkey, you have to move it from the freezer to the refrigerator and leave it there for at least 6 days. So if it's 24 pounds, 6 days. If it's 20 pounds, 5 days. You can also do cold water thawing, which means that you have to put your turkey inside a container that is waterproof and submerge it for at least you have to submerge it in cold water and change that water every 30 minutes. It's going to take 30 minutes per pound, meaning if you have a 20-pound turkey, it's going to take 10 hours, and you have to change the water every 30 minutes. Now, the third way, it's microwave. It's the fastest way to defrost a turkey, but you have to follow the manufacturer's instructions for this. It's important to cook the turkey immediately if you use these last 2 methods, and cook your turkey to a temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit. Use a meat thermometer and stick it in the thickest part of the turkey, which is usually the breast. So that's it on thawing the turkey. Also, make sure you put everything away the same day you cook things, because then you can invite harmful bacteria if you leave them on top of the countertops. An easy way to cool down things before you put them in the refrigerator is give them a water and ice bath. So just get a big container and put your food in waterproof containers and then submerge them in the water and ice. It will bring the temperature down faster, and then you can safely store it. Our third topic and our last topic is about healthy eating behaviors. And this is my favorite topic. I just want to, first of all, it's not going to be your typical talk about use less sugar for your recipes, or use low sodium broth, or use low fat products. I'm sure you've all heard of this, and you probably are already doing this. However, I do want to talk about having positive attitudes towards food, because sometimes we've been working on our diet or our eating habits for so long, and we feel like we're going to be kind of ruining all of our progress in just one night, because there's so much food available and we're afraid of losing control and overeating. So some of us may try to skip a meal or in order to save our calories for that special meal. However, this can be counterproductive. If we skip breakfast, lunch, then come to dinner, we're going to overeat because we're so hungry. So we want to have a small snack or a small meal. It could be something as simple as a breakfast taco, and then maybe a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch. So we don't eat a lot during the day, but we're still having something. And whenever dinner comes around, we're able to eat normal amounts. Also, think about whatever the food that you have in front of you. So for example, we're going to be eating turkey. If you are going to be eating turkey, this is the lean protein. It's good for your muscles. It helps you repair damaged tissue. So I would call it heart healthy because it's lean. If you're eating green beans, independent of the sauce or how you prepare it, it's still green beans. They're still green beans. So you're having a vegetable. You are having some fibers, some phytonutrients, some vitamins and minerals. So it's also a really good option, and hopefully your kids try it as well. Also, if you're going to have mac and cheese or mashed potatoes, these are carb-rich foods. But you can also use whole grain pasta. You can usually with mac and cheese, you add some milk and cheese that's full of calcium. So calcium is good for your bones, meaning you're going to have a meal that has carbohydrates, that has a lean protein, and that has some vegetables. So I would call that a balanced meal, and that's something good. If you want to be mindful of the portions, you can get a smaller plate. That way you can get a little bit of everything and then go for seconds for the foods that you really, really enjoy. Sometimes when we get a big plate and we get large portions, in the middle of the meal, we're like, well, we didn't really want to eat all of these things, but we're afraid to throw it away because we don't want to waste food or we don't want to offend the cook. So we might end up overeating. So using a small plate will guarantee us having enough space for dessert. And also think about what you can do with all the leftover things. So for example, if you have some leftover turkey, you can make a turkey wrap. You can use a whole grain tortilla, put some cranberry sauce, put some turkey in there, put some greens, roll it up, and you have lunch for the next day. Also, you can make a turkey salad with some apples, with some cubed turkey, with some mayo, and you can add some greens. And you have a salad for the next day. If you don't like leftovers, put that food in containers and take it to a neighbor or to a family member or a friend who may have not had the fortune to have a feast like we did. So a wise man once said, there's more happiness in giving than there is in receiving. So let's keep this in mind during the Thanksgiving holiday. In regards to our desserts, that's like my favorite part of the meal, but maybe consider having like a tea or a coffee with a little bit of sugar, maybe a teaspoon of honey, because you're already having a lot of sugar with your dessert. So having a low carbohydrate or low sugar drink would be ideal. I also want to invite you to do some exercise, to have a physical activity during this day, because it can help us regulate our blood sugars. This is especially important if you are if you have diabetes or pre-diabetes. Having a 15-minute walk or dancing for 15 minutes can really help you regulate your blood sugars. Also, something I forgot to mention is that alcohol has calories, so drink in moderation. That's all I had for you today. I know I gave you a lot of information, but just to summarize, stay safe, use your mask, wash your hands, wear your mask once again, but also try to celebrate with the people who live with you. And make sure you thaw that turkey the correct way. We want to avoid foodborne illnesses. And be positive about the food you do have at home. So what questions do we have? Okay, so Monica Diaz, hi Moni. So she's saying Zoom is having unlimited free calls during the holiday season. Well, thank you for sharing. That's good to know that we can talk to our friends and family through Zoom. We have another question. Can COVID be spread by sharing drinks? Yes, it can be spread by sharing drinks. So you do not want to share your cup. Please have your own cup and don't share drinks. This can greatly increase your chances of getting COVID. Then I have another question here. What if a family needs help this holiday with putting food on the table? That's a really good question. So thank you for asking, Sarah. We do have a link, and we're going to put it in the comment section where you can find places to get some holiday meals. It could be either the ingredients or the full meal already cooked. KUVUE actually put out a good list of resources. So take a look at that link that will be posted. I have Sabrina here asking, is it safer to travel by car or plane? That's a great question. it's safer to travel by car for the fact that you're going to just be surrounded by people who are close to you. And then in a plane, you have to go through the airport security. You have to then board with other people from different parts. So you have greater chance of getting COVID-19. And then, so Monica is asking, what is the recommended portion of turkey to eat? That's a great question. Well, it depends on your physical activity, depends on your weight and how old you are, but a good guide is usually using the palm of our hand. This is usually a really good portion. But it's okay, we have a little bit more. It's okay, we have a little bit less, but let's just kind of save some space for dessert. Why is it not safe to have a gathering of 10 or more guests inside my house? What is the best thing to do? This is a question by Joy Author. So Joy, having a gathering of 10 people or more than 10 people is considered a high risk activity for getting COVID. It's better to just limit it to 10 people and maybe finding a way to either call the other family or friends, and instead of having them in our house, doing the reunion outside would be actually a better option. And what is the best thing to do? Like I mentioned, just have the reunion outside or limit your Thanksgiving gathering to less than 10 people. Okay, so do we have any more questions? You guys asked some really good questions. I'm going to look through my notes to see if I missed anything that I wanted to share. Okay, Joy is asking, is it safe to hug a guest? Like I mentioned like I mentioned before, we'd want to avoid physical touch. Physical touch can increase our chances to getting COVID-19. Have some words or think about what you can tell to your family or friend or that is going to make them feel loved. Tell them how much you love them and tell them how much you've missed them, but do avoid hugging or stretching somebody's hand. Olivia Martinez, hi Tia, how are you doing? Thank you for asking how long we can keep leftovers. It just depends what it is, but it usually 5 days counting. So if you prepared Thursday, you count Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So you would want to get rid of your leftovers by Monday. However, if you plan ahead, you can freeze them, and maybe you have meals for a couple of weeks, but they have to be frozen immediately. So don't put them in the refrigerator, just freeze them if you know you're not going to be eating them in the next 5 days. That's a really good question, Tia. Thanks for asking. Ms. Vasquez, thank you for joining. And then Patty is asking, which dessert do you recommend for a diabetic person, especially in Thanksgiving? That's a great question, Patty. What desserts do we recommend for people with diabetes? There's a lot of desserts out there that maybe cut the sugar recipe in half. I can't think of any particular dessert right now, but I do, independent of the dessert you have, just have maybe a small piece, a small slice, let's say, of pumpkin pie or pecan pie, because and then drink it with something that has protein. So maybe making like a coffee with some high protein milk, like an ultra processed milk, ultra filtered milk, sorry, not ultra processed. That could also help with blood sugar levels. But I mean, enjoy the dessert. Just have a small piece of it and go for a walk, either before or after. This can help with the blood sugars. We want to continue to enjoy the different foods, especially if it's something that a recipe that has been passed on from our mothers or grandmothers. It's okay to enjoy that recipe and just have a small piece of it to avoid a spike in your blood sugars. Jasmine Espinosa, hi Has. Because the kids are more times in closure. Because the kids are more time in close because of the COVID. Tips to low sugar snacks, but at the same time, good for their immune system. Okay, so what I understand has to mean that you're asking is kids are spending more time indoors and you would like to know some low sugar snacks that are good, that are also good for their immune system. Great question. So fruits can always be a fun dessert, and you can definitely add maybe some Greek yogurt to it, and you can add some honey. So one of my favorite desserts or foods that I eat is frozen blueberries, and then I add some Greek yogurt, and the blueberries will freeze the yogurt, and then I add some honey on top of it with some granola or nuts, and I really like that, and that's a really good snack for kids. The blueberries, they're a fruit that can help with your immune system. Also doing having more citric foods like oranges, and but making it fun. So think about there's this really cool recipe that I love that it's a lion, but you use a rice cake, you put some peanut butter on top, and you use blueberries as the eyes. And then as the nose, you use, I think, another blueberry. I can't remember, but to make the hair of the lion, I forget the name, you use mandarins or cuties, and you put them all around. So it's fun for the kids to make. It's called the rice lion cake. And it's fun to make because they get to make shapes with these different fruits, but they're also getting some benefits of the fruit. Monica Feliz is asking, is getting sleepy from a turkey a real thing? If we overeat and we had foods that are high in fat, yes, we will get sleepy because our digestive system is doing a lot of work to digest the food. So we can get sleepy and we might want to take a nap, but it's because of the high fat content of food. Yes, from maybe eating all day. These are some really good questions. We have about 1 more minute for questions, so make sure you get your question in. So, hi, Chuy. So Jesus Castillejo is saying, or is asking, do frozen vegetables and fruits have the same level of nutrients compared to the ones at room temperature? So yes, so fruits and vegetables that are frozen have the same nutrients as fresh vegetables. And think about when fruits and vegetables are harvested, they're immediately frozen. So those nutrients are frozen as well. And we're going to enjoy them once we thaw them out or we cook them. And then they are going to have the same nutrients. That's a really good question. Thank you. Sarah, how likely is it to get COVID from eating food? Great question. You're probably not going to get COVID from the food, but you can get COVID from the utensils or the packaging of the food. So make sure you disinfect the utensils or the packaging, or use disposable utensils. Jasmine Espinosa, she's a chef, by the way. I like to make the stuffing with meat. Do you recommend cow meat or pork meat? Is there a difference? I think it's up to you which one you like. I'm pretty sure you've, like, nutrition-wise, depends what, if, for example, if you use cow meat or pork meat, try to use a lean cut, but there's not going to be a difference. But I'm sure that you may have an opinion on the flavor. So I don't know about that. But in regards to the nutrition, there's not going to be a difference if you use a lean cut. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. It was really good talking to the community about COVID-19. Please stay safe and wear your mask, wash your hands, and be responsible. And we can definitely help prevent COVID-19 together as a community. Bye-bye.